Welcome back, little nerds. It's Pillow Talk Derm time. It's Saturday morning. It's 10 a.m. Get your pens and papers out because we're about to get super nerdy and dive deep into the dark hole world of pores. No pun intended. Who the hell am I? I'm Dr. Shereene Idriss, a board-certified dermatologist, and I usually come to you guys from New York City, but today I'm on the road. I am in Boston in a hotel room, and there was no chance in hell I was about to miss this week's Pillow Talk, so we are going to dive in. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and if you have a question, leave it below. But let's talk about pores, because you guys have been asking me about how to get clear pores, how to unclog my pores for years. And the reality is there is so much false information and misunderstanding surrounding our pores that it is time to settle it all. Starting with number uno. Clogged pores are not created equal across the board. No, they are not. When somebody says, I have clogged pores, help, I usually have a slew of questions following that up because it's not so simple. Even though by the end of this video, you're going to have a much simpler understanding on how to take care of your pores. When we think of clogged pores, there are sort of three subtypes. The first one being sebaceous filaments, which in fact is not an actual diagnosis. No dermatologist ever wrote assessment sebaceous filaments as a diagnosis to a problem because it is a normal variant. Sebaceous filaments, unlike blackheads, which we will get into in a second, is the very fine filament lining our sebaceous glands, allowing that oil to extract itself from that sebaceous gland onto the surface of our skin in order for it to do its thing. Most people have some slight visibility of their sebaceous filaments on their skin, and it can kind of look a little bit gray, a little bit brown, sometimes a little bit black even, right? But sebaceous filaments are not blackheads because sebaceous filaments have a direct opening with the surface of the skin, and there is no plug blocking that sebaceous gland, and therefore there is a continuous flow of sebum coming in and maybe, hopefully, ideally out, not in. Now, when too much stays in, then they become more pronounced. And if too much sebum stays in, and if too much dead skin cells don't let go, and if there's too much crud in the surface of our skin that has not been cleared out and toxins that have built up, that can actually create a plug. And once a plug is created, it is known as a blackhead, which is a variant of acne. And the reason why that plug turns black is because there was an opening with the surface of your skin, and the stuff inside that sebaceous gland comes into contact with oxygen, turning that plug black because it gets oxidized. But a blackhead, unlike a sebaceous filament, has an actual plug blocking the orifice, whereas a sebaceous filament does not. So if you are somebody who likes to cause a lot of self-harm and goes to town on your face, when you are popping quote unquote sebaceous filaments, nothing is coming out. Whereas when you are popping a blackhead, theoretically a plug should emerge. Now you might ask me about the third type of clogged pore, which is a whitehead. A whitehead is similar to a blackhead, where sebum, dead skin cells, crud, buildup have built up, but the surface of the skin has remained intact, and there is less of an opening between the sebaceous gland, or that pore even, and the air. And therefore, the stuff that is built up does not get exposed to oxygen, does not turn black, and stays like a tiny, firm little ball under the surface of the skin, known as a whitehead. And try as you may to pop that whitehead, you will fail, and you will hurt yourself in the process, and hopefully not scar yourself. So don't do it, seek professional help. Now, when clogged pores become super clogged, they can become inflamed, which can lead to different types of acne-like structures, including red papules, where are these red little pimples and bumps on our face that are not too angry. Some people call them blemishes, but papules are the sort of least aggressive subtype. Now, when that inflammation becomes even more pronounced, pus can build up on the surface of that red papule, leading to a pustule, which you can probably pop. I do not recommend, because once you try to pop a pustule, you actually push down more of that gunk underneath the surface of the skin than extract it, and it can lead to more damage underneath the surface of your skin and scarring underneath the surface of your skin, which can result in deeper, angrier cysts. These babies you feel them, they're angry, they're painful, and you don't even try to pop them, you just go in and get some help. A lot of dermatologists might inject a little cortisone shot in them to relieve some of that pressure and that pain and that inflammation so it can heal slightly faster. But getting cortisone shots on the regular is not a good idea either, coming from this dermatologist. So this leads me to, can we shrink our pores? This is a misconception and a myth that has been perpetuated over decades. Since I was a teenager, I would read articles in magazines about shrinking your pores. Like I said, our pores are genetically predetermined to a certain extent, and you're never going to change the structure of your pore permanently. You're just not. Can you enhance its appearance? Absolutely, but you will never change its structure. And certain factors can make our pores appear larger, including number one, excess oil or debris that is clogging our pores, stretching our pores, making them appear more prominent. Number two, as we get wiser in life, as we get older in life, as we expose our skin to sun and we have more damage in life, not internally but superficially, our elastin and collagen can sort of spread out and our pores can appear wider and bigger over time. And that is something that is slightly inevitable unless you have protected your skin from a young fetal age. And that is why protecting your skin is the number one cardinal rule. Number three, the color of your skin. Not because I am a color tyrant, but because redness is something that is so misunderstood and overlooked. When you have superficial redness on your skin and you have that superficial inflammation that is getting more pronounced and less pronounced and more pronounced and less pronounced, let's say you work out, you drink alcohol, you cry, you get nervous, you flush, that flushing superficially that's constantly happening can lead to a superficial swelling on your face that can make your pores look more prominent. And that is why people with rosacea tend to have more obvious looking pores, other than the simple fact that they produce more oil in certain areas, but their face looks more inflamed and you notice the discrepancy in the color more and their pores become more prominent and in appearance. So how then do we treat clogged pores? I also want to first begin with what not to do before I give you guys the answer, because these also have to get stopped in their tracks. Number one, you pickers out there, you aggressive human beings who are trying to get every nook and cranny out of your face, stop. Stop playing with your skin. Stop trying to pop even your sebaceous filaments, which you now know you can never pop because there is no plug to pop. But stop trying to aggressively extract everything because you're doing more harm than good. Number two, pore strips. These are the nightmare of my adolescence, all right? Everyone thought they were cool. Everyone would use them and be like, wow, look at the difference. But the reality is you're taking off just the surface of your pores. You're not really getting rid of anything deeper than that. And by constantly, you are sort of damaging the surface of your skin. And in the process, making those pores slightly more open and more able to get filled again. So even though you might have instant gratification from the pore strips, in the long run, they're probably doing more harm than good, and they can make your skin appear worse, which leads me to number three, pore vacuums. There is, however, some benefit to pore vacuums, but I do not trust you or me to stop when you need to stop. Save these devices for the professionals to do it on you, and do not try to take care of your own skin with a pore vacuum, because more often than not, we go wrong and strong and we cause more harm than good. And with a pore vacuum, that suctioning can actually be worse in terms of losing that elasticity of your skin and making your pores look worse in the long run. So those three things we need to stop doing, and we need to slow it down. Which leads me now to then, how do we treat clogged pores? I'm gonna break this video up into basic sections, and within these sections, we're gonna talk about ingredients that you guys can focus on. But there's really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then maybe 6 sort of categories that you could think of when you're talking about clogged pores or sebaceous filaments that are very obvious. Number one, exfoliating. Exfoliating is key, and we all discovered how to exfoliate, or at least I would hope so, in 2020 and the pandemic. But we haven't really understood the minutia and the nuance when it comes to exfoliating. There's 2 types of exfoliating methods. One is mechanical, like a scrub, which I don't love at home. Number 2 is a chemical exfoliation, where you have chemical exfoliants that can help break down that buildup in our pores. The first type for people who are very oily is a beta hydroxy acid, also known as a BHA, which is salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is the best chemical exfoliant if you are extremely oily and you tend to overproduce oils, because it's going to be oil soluble and oil loving, and it's going to be attracted to your oil in your pores and help break that out. It's great for people who have blackheads and oily skin, and sort of products that I like that have salicylic acid are, and I'm going to link some products here below that are at the Sephora sale and beyond, but this is one by Paula's Choice. This is at the Sephora sale. It's a 2% salicylic acid. If you do not want to buy this particular one and you would rather go to the drugstore, Panoxyl has a 2% salicylic acid as well. So these are great for oily, blackhead prone human beings. But what if you're not so oily and you just want to exfoliate your face better because you're dealing more with sebaceous filaments and not necessarily blackheads? I love glycolic acid and even lactic acid and even mandelic acid. Now, these are all known as alpha hydroxy acids, and glycolic acid is the smallest one, so it goes the deepest. Unlike salicylic acid though, they're not as oil loving, but they will get the job done. And the bonus here is that glycolic acid helps to promote collagen production over time, giving a firmer appearance to our skin. So, things that have glycolic acid and lactic acid, now this is a mini because I am currently traveling, is the Flash Mask by yours truly. This is a combination of 15% glycolic acid with lactic acid to help resurface our skin. It gives you the look of a facial within 15 minutes and your skin feels baby smooth. I'm obviously obsessed. Additionally, glycolic acid has humectant properties which can help keep your skin feeling hydrated. There are other products on the market, for example, that just have glycolic acid without the lactic acid, which by the way brightens. This is one by Peter Thomas Roth. It is a 30% glycolic acid peel. It is very strong. If you're sensitive, beware. All right, which now leads me to the second category that I was talking about. If number one is exfoliating, number two is cleansing. Over cleansing our face can lead us to unwillingly produce more oil and cause worsening blackheads or worsening sebaceous filaments in terms of appearance. So we have to learn how to cleanse and cleanse appropriately. That's my chicken tenders. I will be right back. I ordered chicken tenders because when you're sleeping in a hotel alone, you go all out and you eat the fried chicken. So number two I was talking about is cleansing, all right? We don't want to over cleanse. I just explained why. So when you're thinking of a cleanser, ideally a gentle cleanser that's not going to overstrip your skin and leave you feeling dried out, because then your skin is going to go into overdrive in terms of producing more oil. So either we can double cleanse with a gentle cleanser twice, if you're very into double cleansing, or if you'd rather just use the traditional double cleansing method with an oil cleanser followed by a gentle cleanser, make sure to remove and wash any residue from the oil cleanser left behind. I personally cannot tolerate oil cleansers because I would say more often than not, break out. And I have tried various cleansers following the oil cleanse and I've always broken out. So it just doesn't sit well with my skin. So if you find that you're somebody who tends to break out with double cleansing when using an oil cleanser, try to make sure that you're getting rid of any residue left behind so it doesn't cause any unwanted buildup. But when you're thinking of a cleanser, you want something that is very gentle. And the reason why in my personal cleanser that you can find at Sephora, this is a very gentle cleanser that you can open your eyes when you wash your face to make sure that you're getting all the makeup off. And it has a surfactant in here known as, and I'm going to read it to you guys, decyl glucoside. Decyl glucoside is great for people who produce oil who are on the sensitive side. So it's gonna help get rid of that excess buildup without making you irritated, like an SLS, for example, that traditionally tends to irritate. So this you can find at Sephora. There are various oil cleansers and other cleansers that you can find at Sephora as well. Clinique's Take the Day Off is an oil balm that a lot of you guys love. I have tried to love it. I love the color, but unfortunately my skin did not love it back. Leading me to my third category when it comes to getting clear pores, deep cleansing treatments. And I'm talking about things that you allow your face to sit with, starting with clay masks. This is one by Innisfree. It is a mattifying ingredient when you think of this clay, and I'm going to show you guys the product itself. Particular clay, when you are thinking of this as a mattifying ingredient, this clay is going to draw up any sort of impurity in your skin and allow your skin to dry out in the process. It is an excellent ingredient, excellent product for drawing up excessive unwanted oil. But is it slightly overrated? In my opinion, kind of, because it doesn't help to rebalance how you produce oil. So instead of necessarily using a clay mask, you could also try a sulfur mask. Now, this is one that you can purchase at the drugstore, and the reason why it's not necessarily an ideal alternative is because you will stink like a rotten egg. Yes, sulfur smells bad, and sulfur can also be a little bit irritating. So you have to be careful and make sure that you can tolerate it. If you don't want to sit with a sulfur mask necessarily, and you want to try to find an in-between a clay and a sulfur mask, there are sulfur cleansers that are also really, really good to incorporate into your routine. And the reason why I'm saying a sulfur cleanser is because I let it sit for a few extra minutes longer than I would a basic cleanser that's just meant to cleanse your face, allowing my face then to get face time with the actual active ingredient and washing it off, instead of allowing that mask to sit full on my face for 10 minutes or so. So these are all different type of sulfur alternatives that are better alternatives, in my opinion, to clay, but they all offer different sort of positives and negatives. Now, the fourth bucket that you have to incorporate when you're talking about clearing out your pores are active ingredients. And the two biggest active ingredients are retinoids and niacinamide. Retinoids are very, very, very important. And I'm talking about over-the-counter retinols like this one by the Inculus at 1%, or even this one by Kiehl's, which is their Skin Renewing Daily Microdose Serum. Now, these retinoids are important because they're going to help accelerate your cellular turnover of your skin cells so they don't stick together as much, and they don't create the appearance of enlarged pores in the process. If you're somebody who has enlarged sebaceous filaments, it's going to help minimize their appearance overall by accelerating that cellular turnover. And if you're somebody prone to blackheads, it's not going to necessarily break down your blackhead. That's probably going to be more the exfoliating acid, but what it is going to do is minimize the appearance of more blackheads over time. Now, I said there are 5 buckets. There might actually be 6 and then a little bit of an extra. The 5th bucket is hydrating your skin, making sure you are hydrating your skin adequately. Now, if you're somebody who is oily, a lot of you guys think you should not be hydrating your skin or using a moisturizer, but the reality is you can be oily and still be dehydrated, and therefore finding the right lightweight moisturizer for you is very important to make sure that your skin doesn't go into overdrive in terms of producing oils because it's overcompensating. So don't be afraid to moisturize and look for the moisturizer that is lightweight for you. Now, if you are oily in a humid environment, you might not even need a moisturizer, and you can go straight to my 6th bucket, which is sunscreen. And the reason why sunscreen is so important is because without protecting your skin, you're going to guarantee a breakdown of your collagen and your elastin faster, and your pores are going to have to be constantly playing a game of catch up, and you're never going to get to where you want to be with the appearance of your pores because they are breaking down faster. The skin is breaking down, the elastin and the collagen is breaking down faster than you are able to clear your skin over time. So sunscreen is obviously probably the most important, but I saved it for last because it's also the most obvious. And then in terms of in office, there's a bunch of things we could do in office, but if you guys have questions about that, we can do a whole video another day about in-office treatments when it comes to the texture and the appearance of your pores. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a beautiful Saturday, and I will see you guys next week.